Peace, Black family. I'm here with my brother Yinka. Came all the way down from New York to visit me today, and we're here at Denny's in Miami, Florida. Facts. Big facts. And we're gonna talk about 3 topics.
Yeah, 3 topics. Right.
One will be religion.
Okay.
Black love.
Love that.
And economics.
Sounds good. I'm good with that.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
So, we previously had conversations about religion, and you believe that we must stamp out religion in order to be true Pan-Africanists, or in order to practice a sense of Pan-Africanism. Me, I personally believe that someone's religious beliefs don't necessarily will affect them.
Fruit punch.
I gotta edit you out, Ashley. Edit you out.
You're making a video, you just cut it.
So we differ.
Okay.
In that when it comes to beliefs with religion.
Right.
Now, I want you to expound on why you feel that religion, especially Christianity, must be stamped out the African psychology.
All right, so there was a point in my life where I did believe that it didn't matter what religion you were from, as long as you're African and we could come together and move forward. But I definitely changed my stance on that. And one of the things, because of the destruction religion have done to Africans all over the world, even America. There's so many examples, so I want to choose America itself, right? Religion brings in Christianity, right? Tights brings in about what? I think 2014 was about $450 billion for that year. Tights.
10 million every Sunday.
Every Sunday, right? Mm-hmm. And that's just what they could calculate. So I'm sure it's a lot more than that, right? So that is enough to send every black kid to college. That is enough to build black hospitals. That is enough to uplift black people resources economically, right? Okay. It's vastly, right? But what do we have in New York? I'm from New York, right? Do you know how you can tell when a neighborhood is in poverty? By the churches. And this is accent in New Yorker. If you see 2 churches in a neighborhood, I guarantee they are placed in poverty. So God itself is not God of poverty. God didn't create us to be impoverished. God created us to flourish, right? So you can't be Pan-Africanist, right, and like be against yourself. It doesn't work that. It's not possible. So and a lot of Pan-Africanists believe that, it doesn't matter what you believe in, as long as black is first. But you can't say black is first to a Christian. It doesn't work that way. You can't say black is first to a Muslim when their God is first. And their God is not the God of an Arab, the God of a white man that tells them to be subservient. Right? So it goes against the old indoctrination, the old belief of Pan-Africanists. So due to the pain and suffering that is done to Africans all over the world, especially in Africa, right, I strongly believe that religion needs to be defeated. And there needs to be a stance, a common code of conduct amongst us, okay, to establish, the destruction of this kind of spiritual structure.
Ideology,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Okay. Now, so for me, I totally disagree. Not 100%, but I would say at least a good 57%. Being a Pan-Africanist, one of the most famous Pan-Africanists was Marcus Garvey.
Right.
And he was Christian.
Right.
And he said, one of the famous things he was known for saying is that it doesn't matter if you were Christian, as long as you understand that you must put being black first, because before you were a Christian, you were black.
Right.
If you actually want to talk about some of the movements in America, most movements in America besides the Black Panthers and SNCC and a few other movements were religious movements.
Right.
The Nation of Islam.
I agree. Right.
Which is one of the biggest movements.
Right.
And obviously, the Pan-African movement didn't have a basis of Christianity or any religion to it.
Right.
I just believe that it has to be a reshaping of the psychology when it comes to the religion, how we interpret the religion.
Right.
I believe that the religion can be a tool to actually liberate African people. If you look at how Middle Eastern people use, Islam to fight against evil because of their beliefs. I think that the interpretation that we have been given for this religion is more or less what's in capturing us and having us, fall subservient to the white man. But I think if we just change the psychology, the religion won't be more of a problem.
Right,
the religion will be less of a problem.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
If we start studying the religion for what it is. Because, if you actually look at Islam, there's coons in Islam, there's coons in Christianity, there's coons that practice Ifa, and hoodoo. So I just think that it's the psychology and how you interpret the religion.
I agree with that, but I feel like for the psychology to be established, the structure of the current religion has to be destroyed. Even if we have our ancestors like Marcus Garvey who are Christians, but you have to understand they're not all knowing as well. They made mistakes. Even their movement, they have made mistakes. So when some people they could quote all those people, like, that's great, but they've made mistakes, and what our purpose is in this generation is to be better than Marcus Garvey. There's nothing wrong to perceive yourself to be better than Malcolm X, to be better than Martin Luther King, to see what they've done wrong and to build upon that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that the structure of religion can be changed to benefit us, but for that to happen, we need to destroy the current structure in place, which does not benefit us, which actually goes against the Pan-Africanist movement. One of the other things is that even Martin Luther King went against his own church. A lot of people didn't know this, but he even said in some of his quotes that the church were going against the black movement because they were benefiting the white movement, because it was all about money. It was all about bringing people together. Most churches don't talk about social issues. Don't talk about people dying on the street. They talk about our God's gonna bless you and bring wealth for next week. But those people, your kids down the street, affects all of us, because any one of us can be stopped by cops. Any one of us can be killed. Can be affected by racism. So this is what needs to be talked about in churches: racism, systematic racism, institutional racism. Our enemies, who our enemies are. So you can't ask a church person to fight against a white man or Arab when they've been taught to love everybody.
Right, correct.
So for that to happen, they need to destroy that mentality.
See, for me, going back again about the psychology aspect of it and actually studying the religion for what it was. If you actually are a Christian, then and you are walking in the image of Christ, then you must be someone that is an agitator, because Christ was an agitator. Jesus was an agitator. He got chased from city to city because he stood up for what was right. He stood up for injustice. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, appreciate it.
He stood up for injustice.
I love you, bro.
Let me pause it.
All right, bro.
So if you are truly walking in the image of Christ, you have to be agitated. You have to be someone who goes against the structure, because that's what Christ was about. He was about bringing the truth. Now myself, I'm not a Christian. I was a Christian, the same way you were a Christian. And at some point we fell out of Christianity because we found that the core values and the system of Christianity was not beneficial to our people. Right. In a nutshell. And we just elevated when it came to knowledge. But for me, I don't necessarily want to destroy anybody's faith in Christianity, because sometimes when you destroy their belief system, like you told me one time on the phone, you was talking to a female and she said that, we need something to believe in. Even if it's a lie.
It's a lie, right.
You need something to believe in. And I don't think that every person will fully understand Pan-Africanism the way they will fully understand Christianity. You know what I'm saying? Or think that they fully understand Christianity. So I don't want to destroy people's belief system, but if we give them the information, I think that they will fall out of Christianity in their own way. So
yeah, I do think that's something that we could both agree on, that people do need something to believe in. But I believe that the one thing that people need to believe in first, as Pan-Africanists, as Africans, as the first beings, right? As beings that have created so much and have given so much to this world, is themselves.
This is
right. And also that God is just not an external source of themselves; it's within them. Even if they're Christians, whatever, if they could believe that, and they could see the evils being done to them, I do believe that that will kind of perpetuate them to want to make some change, in this world and fight against the enemies. My biggest concern is being religion, making people docile, making people like subservient, making us quiet, and taking pain and suffering, and forgiving those who have.
When speaking of Christianity, it can be used as a double-edged sword, right?
Right.
Because Nat Turner led one of the biggest slave rebellions in Southampton County, right? And he was a slave preacher.
Right.
He used the Bible to gain followers, right? Slave followers, and to start this rebellion. So, for me, again, just playing devil's advocate, Christianity and the Bible can be used as a double-edged sword. It can be used to keep people docile, and it also can be used to rile them up.
Right.
This is why during slavery times they would cut out the
parts
of the Bible because they didn't want them to read, about the Hebrew Israelites and how they went to war and things like that. And they would just give them certain parts of the Bible. So, just for me, just playing devil's advocate, I believe that religion can be used to docile you and to turn you into a rebel in some type of way.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the other things is that I believe in this position that we are as African, economically, socially, all over the world. We need to be radicals. Like we can't play the same. We can't abide by the same rules and regulations as other races because we are at the bottom. We are at the bottom, and we need a code of conduct that is strict, that is stern, and that is focused on a very similar goals. You mentioned that we need to have similar goals about many Africans having different opinions about the same topic. We need to be precise because we cannot afford to fail. I feel this generation is very, very important in shaping our future as Africans. That's why the work must always continue going. But I do agree with you that yes, religion can be used. But one of the main focus should be Africans believing in themselves first and work first and using their ends and their spirit to make things happen for themselves.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
So let's go to the next one was economics.
Economics, right.
Economics.
Right.
Okay. So obviously, as African people within the diaspora here in America, we make up 12% of the population. Last year, African Americans or Africans living in America grossed $1.7 trillion. Bro, $1.7 trillion to the American economy. If we were to separate from America and to create our own nation, we would be the 10th richest nation in the world. We have no schools of our own. We have no banks of our own. We have no institutions that represent African people in a whole.
Thank you.
That is not indicative of a group of people who bring $1.7 trillion to the American economy yearly. Now, I'm going to ask you, Brother Olayinka, what do you think the problem is that we can't aggregate this money to bring it together to create institutions like schools and hospitals? What do you think the problem is that black people don't want to spend money with black people?
I do believe that it is due to socialization. We've been socialized not to be disciplined, like other races. We've been socialized to love everybody, despite whether it goes against us or not. So like right now, if somebody gets killed on the street, and Walmart comes out and says, you know what, I don't like black people, fuck black people. Give them a week, 2 weeks, they're gonna go back and shop at Walmart. They could boycott for a week or two. They go back and shop at Walmart because what? There is no other. They don't want to buy something cheap, save money, and Walmart is a safe place. They don't have the discipline to say, I'm gonna stay home and keep my money home, and find other places to spend my money, or even start my own and look for black businesses to do so. So I think this holds us back. There's many other factors because we're not united. We don't have a code of conduct. Let's say a Chinese man comes and smiles at you, very friendly Chinese man in the neighborhood. We be like, you know what, Mr. Ching Chang is a very nice guy. I don't mind spending money with him. It's not a bad guy. No other races don't do that. They don't care if you're a nice black person. They will always choose themselves over you, and they could be nice with you. But if it comes down to you or a stranger from their own race, they will always choose that person. So black people like that unity, and we have so much power. We have a lot more power than you think, right? Our power is not limited to boycotting. Our power is not limited to you know, I'm not shopping over here, so we're gonna close it down. So we won. You know, you're not winning. You're not winning until you own your own, until you can invest in your own, until you own your hospitals, and that affects our children. That's what a lot of children are kind of brainwashed, subjugated, because we were forced to take them to the European school system, and for them to learn bullshit, right? To learn the white man has been the superior, to learn the white man has been creator of all things, right? Mm-hmm. So when we have our own school, we could teach them true African history, true Pan-Africanism ideologies, right? So we're not forced to take them to their schools. We're not forced to go buy in Walmart. We're not forced to go buy Gucci or Louis. You know what I'm saying? People that don't give a shit about us. You know, so it's important for us to create our own system, but we need discipline and we need a code of conduct. And I think that's one of the things that black people lack.
But you know what, though? In saying that, I agree with you 100%. Right. The problem that we face here in America as Africans is that there is no sense of culture in the African American community, right? We spoke about this before off camera, where we talked about how Nigerians can come together,
right,
and become capitalistic, and
right,
they would benefit from each other.
Right.
That's because they have a culture.
Right.
You know, they speak Yoruba. Right. They have a language of their own.
Right.
They identify with one another. Right. Because when you actually spell the first 4 letters of culture, spells coat.
Right.
And a coat is a group of people who think alike, dress alike, and have the same common interests.
Right.
You know, African Americans don't have that sense of culture.
Right.
And so they don't have that coat-like thinking to come together and unify. For me, though, economics would be the last thing on my priority, because I feel that we would never make it as a people within this system.
Right.
You know, we can become as economically independent as we want. You know, like Tulsa, Oklahoma. Right. When the Europeans feel threatened, they will destroy it.
Exactly.
So for me, I have to take the position of Khalid Muhammad when someone comes to me about economics and say what we should do as a people. I say destroy the whole system.
Right.
You know, is it good that we want to live better, you know, in this system? You know, but it's kind of like saying, do you want to live better, you know, under
slavery?
Yeah,
right.
in slavery.
Right.
You know, and that's kind of what it is. When we're talking about economics, we're just going to live in a better situation under slavery.
Right.
So for me, it's destroy the whole goddamn system.
I agree. But one other thing that African Americans do not generally think about is the fact that they cannot be free as African Americans until they have a strong, solid identity with Africa, right? And if Africa is not free, no black person, I've said this many times in my page, like no black person in Brazil, America, anywhere in the world will never be free. Because you know why? Because
the motherland.
Exactly.
The motherland.
And not just that. If Africa is great, anywhere in the world, I have to answer to Africa. Like, why are you killing my people, right?
Right.
If they were killing Chinese, right? Chinese people on the street right now, the Chinese government would step in. Like, what are you guys doing?
Right.
You know, why are you guys shooting at my people?
Right.
But you call yourself African Americans, but America never treated you one time as African. No time in history as America has ever treated African Americans as Americans ever. Not today. Not the first day you came to this country. So we need to come together and work together as Africans, right? And African Americans, Africans in America, right? And come together and build Africa and destroy the system that white people have put in place to destabilize Africa and build Africa up together, because African Americans are actually one of the wealthiest Africans in the world, right? And they could do so much, and they've learned so much living in this country, living next to our enemy, which is the white people. They've learned so much. They learned out the tactics. They learned I feel like African Americans are actually one of the most conscious Africans than anywhere in the world, because they've lived next to the enemy more so than any. And I feel like if there's going to be any change, and that's internationally of Africans, it's going to start here.
And that's why the system of racism is so prevalent here in the United States,
right,
because African Americans have every opportunity,
right,
to in the system. Right. They have the economics, they have the education,
right,
they have the tools to better themselves.
Right.
You know, and that's why when you go other places, racism is kind of like, covert.
Right.
It's kind of like undercover.
It's undercover. You don't like
Canada and whatever. But here in America, it's very overt, because these people have the tools to better themselves, and they have to destroy them from birth.
But yeah, exactly. So it's all out of fear, and white people are afraid. They're afraid of African Americans because they know that African Americans have the power to change the world, to change Africa, to change Canada, to change anywhere where black people live. They see African Americans make moves, and they will move accordingly.
These 12% of Africans that live here in America have a very special gift.
Right.
You know,
special.
A very special.
I agree. And you know what's funny too? Anywhere in the world, even Africa, Nigeria, they follow African American cultures.
Yeah.
Right? They follow the hip hop. You see, anytime they do here, shenane, whatever, you know, you see them doing in Nigeria, bro. Like they do it. Like so, they follow African Americans. African Americans, if they could come together and connect to Africa, and really wake up to the reality that we need to change the world together, we could really make this happen. It's possible. You know what I'm saying? So. I do believe in terms of economics, yes, coming together is important. Building our own is important. But one of the most important things is also destroying the system. How you destroy the system? By connecting with Africa, right? Connecting, make that a top priority. Go to African country, take a vacation, just see how it is, you know, see how you like it. Take the DNA test, find out where you come from. You know, it's important too, you know, you have a sense of belonging. And one thing I've known is I'm Nigerian, born and raised. I came here at 13. And one thing I always say to African Americans is this, right? Africans treat you better than they would treat me, and I'm African. You know, they would treat you better because, you know, despite all that you heard about some ignorant Africans that tell you Africans don't like African Americans, they will love you in Africa. I'm telling you, they will love you. They will treat you well. They will treat you like kings and queens that you are. You know, so it's important for you to use your minds, use your wealth. Invest in Africa, build and help create better.
With that, the only thing I fear with African Americans returning to Africa is the fact that we've been so Europeanized that we would go to Africa and then we would instill the same system on our own people. You know,
I had a conversation about that in Liberia. Where African Americans were sent to Africa, and they basically it was a war, and you know they were killing Africans there, and the whole government system was changed there. So I do believe that in this age of information, you know, not to say that problem is inevitable, but I do believe that in this age of information, where you know, it's not like back then where we had to look into encyclopedia, you know, just look at our phone, Google, you know, it's gonna be different. I do believe it. Not to say there won't be any issues. It's natural. We all human beings, you know, but it's gonna be different in terms like the language, the music, the culture, the dances. I know it might seem small, but it's a big deal. You know, it's a big deal. It goes a long way, and I think there would be a more deeper connection with Africa, because Africans are watching. Africans are watching on social media. They're watching on YouTube. They're watching what's going on here, and they're learning, because to them, the white man is a nice guy. The white man's got that smiles all the time. There's no proper. So they see how the kin people that look like them. They see their nature. They see their true nature. So it's changing their thinking slowly. And I could be a testimony to see that I'm starting to see some Nigerians starting to think a little differently. You know, starting to see like, these people are not so nice. You know, they probably not so nice. So it's like I do believe that problem is inevitable, but I do believe it won't be the same as Liberia, so to speak.
Yeah, hopefully not.
You know, there will be African Americans that will step in and say, no, we are truly one, and we need to destroy any European ideology we have of each other. Right. Even Africans also have Europeans ideologies and perception they have of each other. That's why you see Africans destroying other Africans in Africa. You know, that was the African government killing their own people because they have European government, European perception. And I feel like there will be a trend coming soon. I truly believe this. That any European perception will just be starting to be eradicated amongst us.
Yeah,
I told you that it's gonna be, and when it does happen, it's gonna be so.
It's gonna be drastic. Anything that resembles anything
European will be destroyed, and I know this is gonna happen. And you know, what date is that? What's today's date? Today's
September 21st.
We said this.
2017.
So, drastic, you know what I mean? And when it happens, I'm gonna be smiling, and we're gonna play this video again. Like, yeah, I told you so. You know, because we're moving in that direction. This is the age of information. You know, we're reaching like thousands of people, and you know, Africa is the future. Africa is the future.
It is.
My man, African America, African Nigeria, and all your Africans looking out there. My beautiful black African kings and queens.
I resent the America part though. I don't call myself African American. I am African. 100%.
Okay, African living in America.
Yeah, I'm an African living in America.
That's why I said African living in America.
So
yeah, he's a little sensitive about that.
I'm very sensitive. But to me, let me explain this. To me, an American is a rapist,
right.
A murderer, a colonizer, a capitalist. When someone calls me an American, is very disrespectful to me.
Right.
My ancestors didn't come here voluntarily. My ancestors came here, forcefully.
Facts.
So my ancestors didn't change their nationality to African to American. No, it was forced on them.
Right.
So I'm an African living here in America.
Right.
I'm a descendant of a stolen African.
Stolen
so no matter where I'm born at,
stolen engineers,
I'm African.
stolen spiritualists. So they play all these movies, depicting Africans to be this dumb, dirty people. But listen, the Africans that are stolen from Africa are highly intelligent people, right? Strong people, not just physically. They stole engineers, they stole doctors, they stole spiritualists from Africa, right? And they stole coons too. So their DNA got passed on to some of y'all probably watching this too. So,
So the third topic is going to be a very sensitive one, black love.
Black love, right.
And why is black love in jeopardy?
Well, black love is in jeopardy because black love, one, is the foundation of everything that we're talking about, right? Without black love, there is no black economics.
No.
There is no black power. There is no even black Pan-Africanism, right? Black love is everything. And that is why this attack on black love.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm going to tell you something, right? I made a post about this.
Talk to me, brother.
I want you guys to step outside your house today. Walk outside your street, turn on your TV, walk around. Tell me how many positive images that you see of a black man and a black woman. Almost none. I'm not talking about a black man and a mixed looking woman, or a mixed looking man and a black woman. I'm talking about like a black man that looks like me and him, and a black woman, like a black woman. Almost never. There's a reason for that. They feed into your subconscious that we're not worthy as men. They feed into subconscious that the white man is the right mate for you. It is done, and that's why a lot of celebrities that marry white men, white women, they put them out there. They put them out there in the TV to show you that, you know what, this is what you're supposed to be doing. And because we don't control the information, they control our perception of it. Especially if you don't read and you're not really conscious, they control your perception. And they control, like, you know what, the white man might be a better mate for me. The white man might be the best husband for me. And then a lot of our sisters get dogged out by this man. It's like, oh wow, what just happened? I hear some more stories about that.
Yeah.
What just happened? Like, I thought this white man is different. And listen, we cannot allow these people to control it. Even I went to the Chase Bank today. I look at I turned on the Chase Bank, put my card in. First image I put a white man and a black woman. Right? I turn on TV.
At the ATM machine.
ATM machine, bro. ATM machine. Everywhere you go to, there is no way that nobody can deny this. In America, so you have to understand that there's a real war on us. The welfare system is against us. Anywhere you go in the world, so it's like we have to understand it. So more so, we have to fight for black love. We have to understand that
not even black love, male and female. Black love, brother love,
right?
Female,
right.
Sister love.
Right.
It's just not just romantic love that's in jeopardy. Again, this is my brother from New York. I met him on social media.
Facts,
okay,
right.
I posted something. I said I'm gonna be in New York. Anybody in New York wants to show me around, and he automatically hit me in my DM, and some of his phone number said, "Yo, I'll show you around, bro."
Right.
Okay, I made it up to New York. Love. It was nothing but love. Now he's down in Miami. Okay, I return the favor. Nothing but love, bro.
Exactly,
so it's not just romantic love or African black love that's in jeopardy. It's male on male love, no homosexuality.
Right.
It's sisterly love that's in jeopardy. It's our love in jeopardy. 100%. So we have to realize that. Our love for one another is not just a singular experience.
Right.
Because what takes place in his house affects my house.
Exactly.
Because his children come to school and learn. So it's a whole
community, right?
It's a whole community effort. I gotta edit you out. You just jumped all in my.
Yeah, we'll be done soon, though.
Okay.
We'll be done soon.
So again, we have to realize that love is not just
a singular thing. Right.
Right. It's a community thing.
Right.
In Africa, I don't know where the saying comes from, but it says it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to fix a broken village.
Yes,
you know,
yes,
it's gonna take each and
we're
every
broken.
one of us. Yeah, we're broken.
Right.
We're
all
definitely broken.
Man and woman. We're
You know,
broken.
it doesn't matter if you're from Haiti. It doesn't matter if you're from Nigeria. It doesn't matter where you're from. We've all had this white man embedded inside of us.
Yes, we all do.
You know,
we all do.
You know, and we have to get this white man out of us.
And again, and conscious community have this ego issue. Like, you know, I've seen, you know, even as conscious as we are, if as myself, I have to catch myself, you know, because we're surrounded by racism. And the reason it's impossible for you to tell me that you've elevated to the point where you have no white man in you. When you wake up and breathe every day, everything you breathe, everything you see around you is
a reflection of him,
right? So you have to consciously fight that and be aware of that. So and you know, we have to let go of that ego of saying, you know what I mean? I'm so conscious that I have no kind of white supremacy ideology. No. So going back to that, I want to straight off topic. So black love is extremely important, and you know, and it shapes our minds. The white supremacy, to understand this. During the civil rights movement, they saw how the black family came together.